Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Nick Johnson. Every time I hear that opener, I am reminded of the beginnings. That's what I'm reminded of every time. And, you know, I think, Benny, it was a good thing that we couldn't play the clock song, because now every time I hear that opening, I get a flashback to sitting in a small room in Green Lake with Nick Johnson, and who was an intern, helping build the network. I mean, it's just a great reminder of beginnings, because today, guess what we're going to talk about with my very friend and colleague, Joan Marlow, joining me here today. Day one, starting with the end in mind. Holy cow, how appropriate is this? Let me just tell you about Joan for a minute. You're going to hear a lot today, and I don't want to take a lot of time because this is a short interview. This is a short time. But here's the purpose and passion. It's to help individuals enhance their health and well-being. Why? So you can kick it up a couple of hundred notches. Please. Lifelong learner, teacher, somebody committed to not only her own personal growth, but for all of us to know we can live, we can have what we desire, and we can do good things in the world. Joan, it's so great to have you here, the host of your own fabulous show. Great to have you. The end in mind. I love this. You and I had the same mentor, didn't we?
Oh, yes. Stephen Covey. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, decades ago, and all the stuff is still real. And that's what this conversation is all about, is going back to basics. And that's why I'm pulling a lot from Stephen Covey and the, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because it just makes sense. And it almost helps us get more grounded by having something that's familiar. Because we have so many things now that are constantly in the unfamiliar zone. So that's why I chose this.
So let's, for me, what I really want to start with is what the meaning is when we say starting with the end in mind. That was such a breakthrough moment for Covey to bring forward in the 7 Habits. And it was one, people ask me, who do I think was sort of the originator of thought around this, the idea of The Secret? And there's a lot of people that come up, but I go to Covey, and I go to Covey because my introduction to him in corporate America and the 7 Habits, that was really the first mainstream moment, if I could call it that, the mainstream moment where everybody in corporations pretty much got on board. What? 7 Habits, the end in mind. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like those, The Secret came out, and a whole bunch of people, and it came out, and Napoleon Hill, and all of those folks were in the works. But Covey, he said, I'm bringing this to you.
And he did. And he gave us practical tools to make this happen. And I think that's who I am. I'm all about providing people practical tools to make change happen. And Stephen Covey, with his 7 Habits, was all about, just think about this, practice these things, see if it's fitting into your life, and then move forward. Another thing during that era was Malcolm Baldrige and the whole Plan, Do, Check, Act and doing quality management. And I also had a piece of my life in there, because that also makes sense. In this day one program and all of my coaching programs and everything that I do also surround themselves around this whole Plan, Do, Check, Act. It's looking at, as you're starting, as we're looking at starting with the end in mind, what is it that you want to create for yourself? Again, I always go back to your promo where it says, if there was no chance that you were going to fail, what would you do? So
Yeah.
that's part of my new mantra too.
Yeah.
If you couldn't fail, what would you do? And that's what this is all about. This is all looking at your dreams, your inspirations, your aspirations. And then of course, looking at what you know about yourself. I also mentioned in that description about the true north, because that too is another covey. We need to know, and we've gotten off kilter. And again, I don't mean to keep going back to the pandemic, but 2020 was a rock. I mean, it shook all of us. We used to talk about the '08 debacle of the world, but now 2020 has taken it over. And 2020 has now moved into 2021, and here we go, ding, ding, ding.
You know the difference between '08? Let's talk about what you just brought up, because I talk about '08. And my biggest pet peeve, Joan, is that we not as a country, we just blew by '08. Yep. We blew by it in so many ways. Elizabeth Warren tried to do some stuff with that, but we blew by it. We had people in our establishment and banking that got away with literally ridiculously harmful things. We blew by it and people suffered. The difference is, and this is kind of crazy for me to say this, the difference is in '08, people did not have hope. They didn't see an end in mind. True. They lost. They were like, I'm here and I got my house and I got my job and my family. And I had a friend who, top speaker, author, went from that to having a tent in Sacramento. The difference is they knew they were in the end. They knew their house was in front. We're in this moment of unstable energy. Now we're coming back, but no, don't really come back. Okay, right? But we cannot give up on the basics. So let's get at the basics.
Yeah, no, we can't give up on the basics, because again, the true north of who we are, no matter how we've gotten knocked around, we still have certain traits within us, and we need to honor those traits. We need to honor those positives that we have in our life. And sometimes, and unfortunately, and so many of the folks that I'm dealing with and the conversations that I have and the things that I'm reading, the obstacles are just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, so we're looking at things that if you address the word fear or look at the word fear, again, there's only two emotions. There's fear and there's love, and that's it. So if it's not love, it's going to be fear. So things that are holding you back are going to be fear. And what does that mean? Is it still holding you back now? The definition might be a little bit different, because again, I love my operational definitions. And part of what we'll do in this day one journey, as we look at taking these dreams and aspirations and inspirations and who you are and finding that true north and being able to look in that mirror and say, that's who I really am. I might have lost some parts of her or him, but I am now going to come back and I'm going to be stronger and better. So a new piece that I am bringing into programs that I'm doing is helping people realize how important their resilience is. Resilience is key to us. And we've got to be able to find that fortitude. But sometimes when we're in these rocky modes, we don't know where we're going. And again, that's why we're calling it the next normal. Here we are. I'm calling this the tween state. We've got the BC, before COVID, and now we've got the tween state, and we don't know how long we're going to be here. And so this is time for us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. So some of us can't even find our bootstraps. And we go through these, roller coaster rides. And this is what we're looking at in the day one program. It's taking a hardcore look on an intensive basis at what some of these roller coaster rides are. And how are you going to find that resilience to keep on keeping on? And what does it mean? I mean, in '08, and that was, again, I am so blessed that '08 happened, because it forced me Sorry, everybody, but it forced me, it's all about me. It forced me to make huge changes. And that's why, I mean, that's how I'm living my purpose and my passion now, was because of what happened. So many of the things that I do in my lifestyle and how I treat my body and my mind happened in '08 because I was so rocked to the bottom. This 2020, in 2021 now, it's all about, you know, it's losing that control, yes, that we thought we had. And again, that's just a thought, but it's also looking at how real are you? I mean, are you going to show yourself up as being brave, or are you going to allow yourself to really look at what's happening? And that's what day one's going to look at. Day one is going to be looking at in a variety of ways, you know, looking at creating not only a vision board that we might literally start that first week of when we get going, because this is a 3-month program. I'm looking for 3-month commitments here, and looking at how what you think you might want to be happening or happening in your life in the very beginning, and watching what we continuously learn in this process, because this is a process. Again, that plan, do, check, act. We come up with a plan together because it's you and me together. And then we put the plan together, you commit to doing what you want to do. And again, these are your ideas. And then you actually go and you do them. And then we go back and we check in to see, how did that work out? And again, it's okay if it didn't work out, because now we can tweak it. It's not considered a failure, because so many of us are, it's either perfect or it's a failure. So these are some of the things that are going to come up. And so my hope against hope is this type of a program will really, once and for all, give you the tools to get beyond all of those thoughts, because your brain is a muscle, and we've got to change some of the muscle memory that's going on in our brains and in our minds.
Yeah. And let's talk about this, because this is really the opportunity. And I'm glad you brought up '08, because one of the things that I know, and one of the things that I'm reminded of as you're talking about it, none of this journey at all. We haven't had a great announcement happen yesterday, but it was so matter of factly, it just blew by us until I realized how important it was and where the idea came from. '08 and '09 that was the moment that somehow what you're talking about, a day one program, a coaching practice, working with other people, taking the journey, not alone, was so critical for us. Had I not done that, and probably had '08 and '09 not happened, you would not be on the Transformation Network. The decision to expand and build this happened during that period. But Joan, what you're talking about is so critically important. And I have to say that we have the best listeners on the planet. Benny and I have been together since 2003. And what I want to say is that this is not a ship that gives up. You know, this is not a ship where we fold. And what you're offering to people is you're offering them an opportunity to get an infrastructure and a backbone of energetic strength building, which allows them to be powerful in the world. That's what we're talking about. And it doesn't matter what the circumstance is, because if you're working with somebody and you're working with somebody that's got the day one program and you're looking at the end in mind, it is extremely difficult not to achieve what you desire. What do you think?
I fully agree with you. But that's where we're looking at doing this whole plan, do, check, act. Not throwing in the towel when the first thing doesn't work. And so many of us are used to doing that as well. Right now we go, well, what the heck? Why not? Because something's going to change anyway, and my life is going to shift. But that's okay, because you got to keep plugging along. I mean, over the years when I've had groups doing, even going back to talking about the vision board, creating vision board, I can't believe there are people in my life that are saying, I think I need a vision board. And I'm going, yep, got it. But I had people that were actually creating them, and they were using bulletin boards. And so they could use a thumbtack in there and hang something up. And just to see what was happening as they were going through the process of life, and noticing that, okay, that has to move. And they would move it to a different spot or a different corner based upon, you know, where they thought they wanted to go, what their balance was going to look like, because something else happens. And we have to be ready to handle some of the bumps and lumps along the way. The tough thing right now is we're constantly in this cavalcade of bumps and lumps.
Yeah.
And what are we going to, but we need the strength. And there's where I'm going back with that resilience. How do we build the faith in ourselves? The faith in ourselves has got to come from our belief in ourselves.
And, you know, look, you mentioned we are in this really interesting time, and, you know, we're in a time of spinning. But I will tell you, you know, I live in the state of Washington. And this morning I just shared with my team the latest breaking news from yesterday. And this is now the state of Washington now has Governor Jay Inslee, one of the strictest mandates in the nation. Now, how do you look at that? Well, you look at how the spinning is going, and there are tough decisions people are making, Joan. I want to take a moment before we continue, because decision making is hard sometimes alone. It doesn't matter, you and I are talking about, it doesn't matter if you want to build your business. We're talking about helping people get through their day, making decisions about that. How do people find out about the program? How do people find out about what you've created and what you're offering to folks today?
Well, thank you. One of the ways is to visit my website, peacefullyhealing.com, and look under Work with Joan, the tab Work with Joan, and under that is a day one page, a day one tab that shares information in depth about this program, what it's going to look like, what trying to start to establish expectations from my perspective. But again, keep in mind that it's 2 people or maybe more, because the beauty of this program is it can be one-on-one with me, or it could be 1 and 2 folks that want to work with me, and you come and you create your own little group. So that also helps with what you were saying about the decision making. Who do you look to help you with decisions? And what does that mean? And how do you test yourself for all of that? And I've got a questionnaire there that, again, a real quick questionnaire that you fill out, send it off to me, and then we sit and have a consult. It's a complimentary consult just to talk about this a little bit more in the context of your lives. Because what's tough in creating this kind of a program is the variabilities are as various as when you walk into a room and you have 10 people, and each one of those 10 people has a completely different attitude, mindset, and their careers are different. Everything about them is different. So I am all about customizing it to the people or the person that I'm working with. And again, we will learn. I learn very quickly what your preferences are based upon the kinds of questions that I ask and how you're responding to those questions. And I'm smiling because it's quite revealing, because I'll turn around and go, might I ask, do you prefer this over this? And invariably, the head goes nod, yes, yes, yes. Or it opens up this conversation, and that's how it happens. All coaching is, they're conversations, and it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper into what makes you you and what's standing in your way. And again, so many times that I hear people and I'll go, well, why is this different? And they'll go, well, it's not really different because I never moved forward the last time I did this, or last time I talked about it. Again, when you talk about New Year's resolutions, they fall to the wayside. And again, we're looking at, we write down goals in the old days of, creating goals. This is going to be action-packed. Again, plan, do, check, and act. And everything is movable until you determine that this is feeling good to you. Along the way, I might teach you how to do muscle testing. So, and where your intuition is, so you can start trusting yourself better if that piece of you is falling to the wayside a little bit. The other piece of armament that I have with me that not all coaches have is my ability and my use and my desire to bring Reiki into the conversations. I mean, Reiki is my leveler all the time. So if someone in a coaching environment gets a little stuck on something, We bring the Reiki energy into it. And that's all about, again, the Reiki is going to go to where it needs to go. It's going to provide you clarity. It's going to provide you relaxation. It's going to provide you some depth of understanding where you are. And then when we clear that way, we can continue on our merry way, if that's something you want to do. So there are lots of things that I can offer along that line. It could be setting affirmations. It could be lots of different things that you yourself need. And that's what's so beautiful about this, because it is so unique. But you can find out more at peacefullyhealing.com.
Look, thank you. Thank you. I don't even know where to begin to start, but I will tell you what, we need to, let's stay with Covey for a minute, because we started out like that. I want to talk with you. I want to get back to that, because what you all just described, what you described, is the pathway to get to the end in mind. This is such a critical idea. And what I want to ask about it, Joan, is the following. When people hear this, at least when I first heard it from Covey, everybody thought you had to have a big idea. Now, I will tell you that my training in corporate America with the 7 habits and then teaching it to corporate people, that thing got embedded in my brain. Like, I look at the day now with the end in mind, and I don't say it. What a powerful tool. If people can work with you on that and realize that this is not just about some gigantic vision board dream, although it does include that, but with the end in mind. You and I are here because we had an end in mind.
You better believe it.
What was your end in mind? Can I ask you?
I didn't, well, I fought it for years. I fought doing what I'm doing now because I thought I had to be mainstream corporate America, do the shtick and whatever else. And I had fear about making that jump into being independent and autonomous, even though every bone in my body is independent and autonomous. And I am, I'm a worker bee. I look at the big picture. I also get into a little detail. So, I mean, and many, many, many years ago, when I had, again, both feet were on different banana peels, and I was between jobs, and I was looking at going back into corporate America versus moving into my own world. And I found an amazing mentor that told me that I've got to make a decision. Talk about a tough decision. And when we had that conversation, I wasn't gutsy enough. So once again, I tried the way that I felt I had to do it, and it didn't work. And now I'm living my life's purpose and passion, and we all need purpose and passion. That adds to our health and our well-being, our balance, our relationships with everything in the world. And that's what this day one program is helping people do. So it's not, we all need to experience the experiences that we have. But what goes on is when you have those experiences and the stories that you're telling in your head, that's the detrimental piece. The day one program will help you take a look at those stories that you've been telling yourself. Let's get to the root of it, whether it be the fear of failure, whether it be whatever, whether it be, I always I go to higher ground, and I go and earn another certification. I go and take a class versus having to make a decision and stay where I am. Oh, it's just fascinating.
It is. And I'm so really excited and proud of what you're bringing forth, right? It is the kind of thing that I think about, especially when I think about the world we live in. And I'm thinking about what we need right now. And what we need right now is guidance and wisdom from another person that is not embedded in our day-to-day, that can be objective. That's what we need. Because
sign me up.
Yep. And that's what you're offering people. And that's what we offer people. I mean, I rebooted my coaching practice for the listeners. We had so many people that were out of work and tuned into the show, and they have become our loyal listeners because we're in service of them, aren't we? Yep. Wow. Joan, I want to thank you for today. I know there's a lot we've talked about, but most importantly, kind of tell us again the invitation that you're having for people to get some help.
Great. The invitation is called Day One. There's a variety of ways you can do this. You can choose to do one-on-one with me. You can choose to bring people with you. It could be, mother-daughter deal, could be a team that you work with, whatever. Let me work with a small group, and then we can also expand it. And it's all about, it's an intensive. So we're looking at a 90-day intensive, which means a commitment, which means that every week. And then again, we're looking at conversations between that time frame, because there are things that are going on, and I'm here to support you. And you can find out more on my website, peacefullyhealing.com. Look under Work with Joan, and then pull up your day one piece. And I think we actually have borders and whatever else on so anyway, I think on my website now, you can click and learn more and come and join us. And I'm very excited about the opportunity, because again, my passion is to help you to enhance your health and well-being. And this is all a step in your health and well-being overall, is to help develop your happiness, to help find your joy points, because that's the stuff that's going to keep you well and to keep you moving forward and to be able to live the life. No matter what it looks like on that vision board, we can make that happen, to build confidence and autonomy and trust in yourself, because so many of us have lost trust in ourselves. That's what this program is all about.
And, thank you for that, Joan. And would you mind telling people how they can listen to your show?
Oh, great. Well, my show is Awareness to Action, and my show is on the first and third Tuesdays of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific. And my show is all about looking at those aha moments that take you from that moment of aha, and it literally catapults you into finding that purpose and that passion. So that's where you can find me.
I love it. I'm Dr. Pat, and you know where to find me. You can go to the drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, and some really cool stuff coming up for all of you. We're going to have a special logo contest for our new channels and our new network. And yes, that is coming to be, because why? We have the end in mind. Thank you, Benny.
I love it.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure. Namaste.
And rock on.
Have a great day.
You betcha. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.